If you knew me before, you wouldn't even look my way. If I had the nerve to speak, you wouldn't hear what I say. Time has come and gone so fast, we're not who we used to be.
And welcome back to Sullivan's Unheard Voices. I'm here with Paul. Paul, what an amazing little studio you've got set up so far.
Yeah, it's coming together
Yeah.
piece by piece.
Pull in a little bit closer.
There we go. A little closer. There.
Yeah.
All right.
Uh-huh. So, like, how did you get started in music in the first place?
Oh, it depends on how far back we want to go. I mean, if I'm like back to when I was a little kid, I started learning playing the trump. Or let's see, I think it was the trumpet first, and then the trombone. So I kind of went through learning all the different brass instruments as a kid. My grandfather, he was like a huge musician. He loved the Tijuana brass and all that kind of stuff. And so I was always listening to classical music with him. We'd go on fishing trips, and so it was like there was always music around my family. And my dad brought a guitar home that was my Uncle Mike's, who passed away in Vietnam, unfortunately. But I ended up getting his guitar. So yeah. So
what was that though? Like, in a way, like, yeah, it's very sad that happened, but at the same time, that's like the memory that's passed on through generations through that guitar. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's yeah. One of the dumb things that I did was I tried to restore. I was a kid. I shouldn't have ever tried to. Don't attempt this at home, kids. But I ended up trying to paint over what was called a cigarette burn, where like when the musicians were playing, they would put their cigarettes in the strings, and so they would end up just slowly burning down while they were playing music, and it created this burn mark on the headstock. And as a kid, I didn't realize that. Oh no, that was adding some character to the guitar, and it was like a piece of my uncle that I like tried to cover up, and it was like I should have never done that. But it was an old Silvertone guitar that's now might be worth a little bit of money, but not a whole lot. But so.
And so how so when you started, sorry, let me see. So when you picked up the guitar, what was the first song you learned? Do you remember that?
Oh, I think it was old country. It was the Ghost Riders in the Sky. So that was the song that my dad knew how to record or how to play. So he wanted me to be able to learn how to play that song, and I somewhat got it down, but I was able to play it decently. But I was never like super good at it. But I learned it well enough that he could listen to me play it and not cringe.
And then at what point did you start to realize that you were actually pretty good at playing guitar?
I got pretty good when more as a teenager. Like when my friends and I we started a band, a couple bands and stuff like that. And I was in a first band I was ever in was a band called Sarcoma with my friend Lee Valet and Kyle Sanders and Steve Harding. So we were kind of like we were high school people, like we were friends in middle school all the way up through high school and stuff. And so we're kind of like the neighborhood kids got together, started the band. Yeah, so that's kind of how it started, and then I eventually was in a band called Lytics, and that was we got a little bit more locally famous, and even had some slight international fame because we were playing a lot in Corvallis and at the OSU frat parties and stuff like that. And so we kind of it's like there was people who were over here that were exchange students and stuff that like took our music back over to Japan, and so we were like, oh, we've got like a following in Japan, holy cow.
That's kind of cool, though, at the same time.
Yeah.
You know, like the idea that you're a multinational artist.
Yeah. So we just didn't get any money for it.
Right. But at the same time, like, you know, I wrote a book a long time ago and I've sold 14 copies. And so, like, there's a sense of accomplishment that you've crossed over that threshold and a musician that's being enjoyed in a different country.
Yeah.
That's really cool. Think about it.
It is. It's like, it's just kind of one of the, well, and I was like, I kind of grew up in the time when it was like when music was, you know, being spread like hot wildfire and stuff through all the Napster and stuff like that So, yeah, it was basically we had. It was kind of cool to see like that like the Sky is a Neighborhood type thing from the Foo Fighters, which you notice the guitar back there. It's like it really is. It's like the whole world is kind of like a big neighborhood and stuff like that, and your music can go all over the world if you. Like, well, now with the internet, it's like it's even easier for it to go all over the internet or all over the world.
Yeah, I have a couple of folks that I've interviewed already that have talked about like the first time they got a notice that their song was downloaded in Iceland.
Oh,
I'm like, how cool is that? Like one song, one download, I'll take it.
yeah. Oh, we got our. I was going to say the coolest part for us was getting. I think we had our music played on the Art Alexaka show back. We had Blackjack Radio a long time ago.
Yeah.
And he like all the bands were like, "How'd you do that? How'd you get?" I was like, "How'd you get them to play your music? We've been sending over stuff for years." So the fact that we happened to know. We happen to know somebody. She was working at the Mount Hood Community College and doing the radio show there, but she was also helping Art on his show. And so by association, we basically like she liked our music, and so she got us in there. So it was pretty cool.
God, there aren't really any shows like that anymore.
Not really geared towards discovering local music. Not really.
Yeah.
It was kind of sad when that like went away and stuff. So hi Art, by the way.
And I'm trying to bring it back, folks. I'm trying. Because I think one of the things that people forget is that all of these huge musicians started out in the local scene.
Yeah.
And so, like, how important it is for local musics to have support from the local community. It's huge.
It is. And that was kind of, so I helped, you had Susan Castronovo in here with it, and there was Dan, and we'd all kind of started that musician support group thing together.
Yeah.
So, so we kind of like the community is a big part of why I really tried to get that going. I'm still keeping it going. I still have the Facebook group, and I'm still trying to get it built back up, and I'm trying to get people to actually engage with each other. And it's sometimes difficult because, personalities
And time.
Yeah.
Like when I first started this journey, I kind of had somewhat of an inkling as to how much work it takes to be stage ready. I had no idea just how much work goes into the before your practice and stage ready.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like music isn't like in a vacuum. You can't just pick up a guitar and play Hendrix the next day.
Well, some people can. I mean,
if you've never been shown the chords, you know what I mean? Like that there's a leap there.
Yeah.
But it is the reason I bring that up is because like musicians in particular, I would imagine they have to spend so much time outside of the music with curating venues, talking to fans, doing the social media, all of this other stuff outside of the band. And then you throw in music into it, and it's like, how do you have time for anything else?
Yeah, you're never just in a band. It's like you're never just playing music. It's like you got to be a master of all things. So it's which is kind of what I got into the recording stuff for, why I do the studio, because I kind of realized I was a much better recording engineer than I was a musician. So I'm decent at musicians, or as far as like playing guitar, but it's like I know that. It's like I know where my lane kind of landed, so that's kind of why I started the doing the recording stuff, and I got real good at it. So,
and what was the first band you recorded?
It was two bands. It was actually kind of like in tandem. I was recording them both kind of at the same time. It was a Radical A, and then Living in Exile. And so Living in Exile, actually, I'm still in contact with with all those guys, and so I'm actually trying to get them to come in next week. So we're going to be the kind of like full circle, get them back in and record some songs. And so they still play, like they're still playing music, not necessarily together, but they're like, married, have kids and, and jobs and things, real jobs that pay money. So,
well, it's hard to make it as a musician this day and age.
It is. Yeah.
There's just not enough to go around, apparently.
You hear some people say that it's like there's plenty to go around. It's just you have to know how to actually like kind of capitalize on it.
Yeah, I get what you're saying. At the same time, though, like I feel for the bands that are in this market just because there's so few venues that pay enough for bands to support themselves. You know what I mean?
Yeah, if you're talking local venues, then it's a struggle. I would say like once you kind of get past a certain point though, like where you're large enough to actually pull in, a fairly decent chunk of change when you're for some of the bigger shows like that, like, playing down at the, like the Raven Kings, I don't know how much they got, but I know that they got more money than they would probably make at a local venue for winning the
Battle of the Band.
Battle of the Bands down there in Corvallis. So that was pretty cool. I watched them. I went down there and actually watched them win that. I was like, way to go! So because they got their start doing the MSG Jam, and that was pretty cool. So it was kind of like, it was nice. There's been several bands that have kind of spawned from that, and so I feel privileged to be a part of that and to try to continue to be a part of that. So.
And what was the biggest learning curve in the recording piece, do you think, in the beginning?
I think probably the routing, like getting all the signals to like know where they're going and things like that. That's probably like the biggest hurdle. Really understanding like what the like that it's actually basic. It's like really simple, but your brain like overcomplicates it because you got all these wires running everywhere. So, but it's all about input and output. It's like, that's all it is. It's like all audio is just input and output. It's like, it's not as complex and crazy as people try to make it out to be, but and then it's how you manipulate it in between, and and a lot of them in recording, it's more what the hardware is doing. This like the sonic characteristics that the hardware is actually putting onto it. So
you say that. However, the only pushback I would have is that audio engineering is a talent and a skill, because as I've been doing this podcast and I struggle with audio from time to time, somebody that has that firm understanding of audio and how the back audio works is so invaluable to an amazing recording. So I just don't want you to sell yourself short, right? Because like it is such a huge thing to find the right recording person that will make your band sound amazing. You know what I mean?
yeah. And a lot of that is ear and having the experience to know. It's like, oh, you use a certain compressor to get a certain sound out of a snare, and there's like certain signal flows and things like that. So there's a lot of technical stuff that I just got locked away in my brain that it's like, it's just there. And I that's why I said it's like when I really got into it, it's like, it was just like a natural part of my brain that I was like, once I understood what was going on, it was like, oh, I can do all these really cool things. And I've learned like over the years, lots of like how all that stuff works. So like I got to sit and with the ZZ Top front of house guy. His name's Ken Pooch, and he actually looks really similar to you, which is kind of weird. But anyway, so but I got to sit over at the ZZ Top and notice the beard and stuff like that. But it's the beard of knowledge, as my friend Al puts it. So he. So I didn't know who this guy was, but he's apparently like one of the top engineers, like front of house engineers, for doing like all the big venues and big bands and things like that. I didn't know that at the time. I was just picking his brain, trying to gather some knowledge, and he just laid out all this stuff for me, and I was like, oh, and it was like this huge veil lifted. And this was back in like the kind of the early 2000s, or I was going to college to the Art Institute and stuff, and I happened to be able to sit with this guy and learn just an absolute ton of stuff. And I was setting up stuff for a lot of the local like big shows that would come through. Which, I mean, I could segue into that real quick. So I actually got one of my first big shows that I ever took audio and sound gear, like all the big stage stuff, was for the Foo Fighters.
How cool is that?
So, and there was a funny story because my friend Kyle and I, this is back when they were doing shows at the Armory, and so we were like, oh, we gotta go to the bathroom. So we didn't want to like miss too much of the show, so we like run to the bathroom, and I guess we're coming out this like big dude named, man, we didn't know his name at the time, but he was just this gigantic guy, and his name was Big John. We found that out later, but he'd like come bursting through these two double doors to the Armory. He's like, you, we're like, I have no idea what he's like. You guys want to make some money? We're like, maybe. We're like, I had no idea what this guy was, wanting us for. And he's like, come back here after the show, and you guys can help load out for the Foo Fighters. And we're like, okay. So
I want to pause for a moment there, because you're saying load out. So some of the people listening might not know what that term means.
Load out means basically pack up all the gear and put it into the trucks so they can go on to their next show. And so this was back, I think, during the Color and the Shape tour. I think back it was while ago, like 2003, I think it was.
So you're there for sound and to help with audio, and then Big John comes in and says, "Hey, help us pack up."
We were just there to watch the show. And,
Oh, how cool is that?
Yeah, we were just there to watch the show, and then to like go be like literally like Dave Grohl, and like they walked past us as we were like back there when we were backstage and stuff. They walk back and just walk out, and then we go start loading everything up with people. So
that is awesome.
So, yeah, it was pretty sweet. So I got to meet a lot of famous people. Like, I got to meet Billy Gibbons from ZZ Top when I was out there because I was doing sound for that show and stuff like that. And helping, I didn't really run the sound, but I was like helping set up all the cables and the lighting and like putting all the trussing together and getting it all set up out at Spirit Mountain.
Yeah.
So,
how many times did you do that at Spirit Mountain?
Oh, I lost track. I mean, it was at least probably 100 times. I mean, it was like I was out there. It was how I was making money at the time, stuff like that, or making extra money. So yeah, it was a lot of fun. I learned a lot, and I got to. That's where I really got to learn a lot of the audio, like doing the live sound stuff. Because I did the live sound for down at the Triangle for
yeah.
No, I'm thinking Ransom Tax. That's a different band. too many bands out there. It was the St. Jack's Parade and then the Moonlit Madness. I'd run their sound for, out at the Triangle a few weeks back and stuff. So, yeah. So if you want to, there's a video out there. It sounds great. So everybody was like, "Dude, it sounds awesome."
Moonlight Madness is pretty awesome band too.
So, yeah,
they're a pretty cool group.
Yeah, Tony's great, and then my friends in St. Jack's Parade, they're awesome too. So
that's awesome. So I've never heard of St. Jack's Parade. I'll have to check them out.
Yeah, there's I can send you some videos and stuff on.
Yeah,
that.
please.
So,
yeah, that would be awesome.
So the recordings, even like the people did with their phones, they were like everybody was like blown away at how good the recording sound from how good the sound was just in the room and stuff. So it was even through a phone, it came out sounding good.
And I think that you brought it up because I think that's an important piece that some people forget. And this is going out to all the venues out there. How important is it for a venue to have the ability to provide quality sound for their patrons?
Oh, it's crucial. I mean, it's like if it doesn't sound good or if it's too loud, then people are just you blow everybody out of the bar and they don't want to go listen. So you have to have somebody that knows that's at least checking the decibel levels and making sure that they're not blowing everybody apart. There's some EQ tricks that you can do that you can actually like turn it up loud and not kill people's ears. So there's so that's kind of one of the tricks that I know how to do.
Is that by like taking out the highs and the lows to a certain extent, or?
Actually, no. It's more. It's like certain frequencies that will that kind of they just don't react well to in a live environment, and it's like if you pull them down, like certain frequencies will just because they're all the frequencies work on intervals, and so the ones that you mainly pull down are kind of interval based, and so they kind of like build on each other. So if it hits here like at a certain number of feet, it's also affecting. It's kind of mathematically complicated.
At the same time, though, that kind of opens my eyes as to how much because one of the struggles I always have is going from like this podcast to live music.
Yeah.
And I think you might have something there.
So, I mean, what you're doing on the podcast I don't know that it so much would be useful on a podcast, but I mean, if you had music playing, then where there's a lot more frequencies involved, but when it's just voices, it's not that bad.
Yeah.
But I mean, you generally do want to roll off a little bit of the low end, so you're not feeding back and things like that. But I know a lot of the venues around town could definitely use some like acoustic treatment. It's like there's some that are just. It's like, well, we'll do what we can. So there's some that I've actually like they've got some treatment and stuff up like that. But I mean, even some like just felt baffles or something like that would go a long way.
Yeah, it's not that expensive.
No, it's not.
Yeah,
there's ways that they could do it for fairly cheap, and there's stuff that like even looks like it's like a foam brick basically. So like they could even make it look like a brick wall if they wanted to, and then like so it would just be. The sound bouncing off of hard surfaces is what really like gets it. But if there's a lot of people in the room, then that soaks up a lot too. So if bands have a good following, then that's going to help just the overall sound, because they're going to be soaking up a lot of the excess volume or the frequencies and stuff. So,
and that actually kind of helps explain a couple of things too, because there have been a couple of times at a couple of local venues where it sounds different when the dance floor is empty versus when the dance floor is full.
yeah, especially if you got like a cement dance floor, it's just bouncing off the cement, and like
that's exactly what it is. Yeah,
so it just sounds like a big reverb chamber.
Yeah.
So if I didn't have, actually, I was going to say, if I didn't have all the treatment that I have in here, it sounds like an echo chamber in here too. So
yeah,
the podcast is benefiting from me putting up all the sound treatment that I have in here so far. So,
and then how'd you transition from that sounds piece to the recording piece? Was it just like an opportunity that sort of fell on your lap, or?
so a long time ago when I was in the band Lytics, we also started our own we got our own recording equipment, built a studio.
Okay.
So and then we kind of started this indie. I don't know that we really set it up like correctly, because we're not getting any royalties or anything, but it was our attempt to set up a record label called Scab Records, and it stood for our initials, Sanders, Carr, Adar, and Bastrika.
I love it.
But it was Scab Records. It sounded cool, and so we just went with it. So we basically had that going, and we had the studio, and like we were just bringing in tons of local bands and recording people a lot of the time for hardly anything at all. We were just, because we wanted to record, and we also wanted to record our album and do it well, and so we were bringing in people to record so we could learn how to do it and how to do it well and what not to do and things like that. So
that's huge.
Yeah. So there's a lot of learning that went involved back in that. So that was a good several years that we had that little studio that we basically converted a garage into a studio. So,
and from the band's perspective, right, as some bands coming through for like the recording session, how important is it for the band to have that extra effort on cohesiveness and working together collaboratively during the recording process?
When you say like you're talking like as far as like, should they know their music before they come in?
Just like check your ego at the door when you're in the recording studio.
Oh yeah, that's always the hope, is that everybody can check their ego at the door. But I mean, that's part of what makes some bands great too. So it's kind of a balance. It's like you hope that people can like be like cohabitation with each other and stuff. And oops, sorry, I bumped the mic.
It happened.
So but yeah, it's always nice that people can get along with it when they're in the studio and just have fun. That's what makes it a lot of fun, is being able to go through and not like, there's going to be a certain level of ego that you want things to be good. So there's like it's like, I think that's just a musician thing. It's like everybody's wanting that, they're all striving for that that pinnacle or whatever. Like they want to sound professional, but not everybody does though. Some people are just in it for the fun. They don't care if it sounds like a garage band record. It's like that's kind of how the grunge thing got started,
right?
So it's like they just wanted to record just because they wanted to hear themselves and be able to give their music out to other people and things like that. So it really depends on what your motivation is for getting into the recording. Why do you want to record? It's like if your goal is to have like a nice polished record and have it sound good, then it's like, well, there's ways to do that. It's like we've got all the equipment to do that now. It's like it's a lot easier to do these days than it was a long time ago, back when I was getting started. So before it cost a lot of money.
Do you prefer to like record tracks, or are you words are hard sometimes. I've seen it both, to where you have individual musicians come in and play their piece on an individual track. I've also seen it where the band comes in entirety and plays together as a band on separate tracks, but they're in that same space. Is there like a recommendation from you, or like something that you would prefer in terms of recording music?
I don't know that I have a preference, honestly. Some of my better recordings have actually been live recordings. I recorded there was this group down at the what was it? It was a pizza place, and they were Stymie. I think you interviewed Stymie.
Yeah.
He was actually running the sound, and I just hooked my laptop up to his to the USB off of his soundboard and recorded it, and it was Moonlit River was the name of the band. I don't know if you, but yeah. So, but anyway, there was a so I recorded them, and that was all live and everything. And I that came out sounding phenomenal. Like, I don't know, I'd have to like show you or whatever sometime, but it was I think I've got some of the music online. But um, anyway, it was, so I recorded both ways. I mean, it really doesn't. I just like to listen to the music, and I like the creation process more than anything else. It's like I like having something be created from nothing. It's like that's kind of the cool part for me. It's like you're hearing something, and you're one of the first people to ever hear it, like when it's like being recorded and being created. So it's like it's that kind of a rush of like, oh wow, it's like this sounds really cool. So um, like I kind of had that experience. There was classical stuff that I had recorded down at the Willamette University. They had this winter thing going on a few years back, and one of the cool things was like it sounded great live, and I when I remember like listening to it and then being like getting it home, and I was playing the tracks back, and they were kind of like there's just something missing, and I finally like there was this this is where hardware can come into play, is that I had an LA2A that I was able to run things through, which is LA2A is a Universal Audio or Teletronics. I get it's a fancy compressor, optical compressor that's used in lots of different studios and stuff, but it actually imparted this like life back into the music. And it was like without it, I was like, I literally did this like A/B test, and I was like, without it, whoa, hello, those springs are loud. um, but without it, it was like the song just fell flat. I mean, like fell flat on its face. It like didn't have the emotion. But as soon as I ran the stuff through through that compressor, it's like it added all this like extra harmonic stuff to it, and it was just like it just sounded beautiful again. It sounded like I was sitting in the back in the concert hall again.
That's awesome.
So it was just, it was kind of these like epiphany moments. And I actually even did like, I went so far as like, I got really nerdy with it, and I was doing like a scientific testing well, not really scientific, but A/B testing between the plugins that are supposed to be like the top of the line, like Waves, and then the Slate, and then also the one that I would actually impart some real good sound to it, which is why I'm partial to the Universal Audio stuff now. I don't have that on here, but so that the Universal Audio one just blew the socks off of the other ones. I was totally amazed, and that was just a plugin. I mean, it was just, but it actually sounded way better. Like it just added this like extra life back into it, and it was weird to go back and forth and do the A/B testing and be like, oh, it's like,
is that like a specific microphone?
No, it's a like a piece of rack gear. So
okay,
it would basically sit in a rack, or the old ones would sit in a rack, and this is the plug-in version of whatever the hardware was. So Universal Audio makes it. So
that's awesome. So like when I used to work for an organization that used to do film live surgeries, and all of our stuff at that point was all Mac based, and we used Adobe Premiere and all that stuff. And even then, the hardest part, especially when it comes to recording, it seems like a lot of people in the recording space focus more on the video than the audio. And I think that part is sometimes unfortunate.
Yeah, you got to have good. I mean, it's always nice to have a good both, but people will they'll suffer through a little bit of bad audio with better video quality. So as long as it sounds okay, it's like as long as it's not like screeching in your ears or anything like that, then they'll tolerate it. But it's like it's always good to have good audio too, good clean audio. So
I think it's the most important piece, especially music.
Well, if you're doing music, it's like that's having a good live recording and things like that. That's definitely good to have.
And then, how did you get involved in Kaiser?
The Kaiser at the Grange?
Yeah.
Oh, so that was a different avenue or whatever. So that was Tim Davis down at the Rec, and so they. I was involved with what was called Valor Studio, and Valor Studio was kind of what like it was part of the Valor mentoring thing, and so they're trying to like help people, trying to help men be lead better lives and things like that. That's kind of the goal of the mentorship program that Valor mentoring has.
Yeah.
And so we were meeting with we were having people come in and we would teach them how to do the recording stuff and the recording engineer. We would bring bands down into the Valor studio, which was in the basement of a church at the time. And the plan was to have moved it over out to Kaiser at the bowling alley, and they were going to like build. And unfortunately, COVID kind of killed this whole effort. But it would have been nice to have this like nice studio down there and everything that people could have come in as a community resource. And but through my relationship with Tim, it was like that was kind of how I got because the whole thing was getting shut down through because the I think Susan mentioned it the other day. It's like they kind of wanted to go in a different direction.
Yeah.
And so right at that same, I was like, okay, well, I got a hold of Tim and I was like, hey, I still want to try to have a jam go. And so, but I was going to say, well, if we do it down there, then we can open it up to all ages and we can have youth come down there. And I was thinking like bigger picture. It was like, well, let's get youth down there. Unfortunately, it kind of didn't pan out, but it's like I couldn't get a lot of adults down there because they didn't necessarily want to go play music with kids. So it was kind of a bummer, but at the same time, it was like I was kind of hopeful, like, hey, let's teach these younger kids, teach them about music and get people in there. And there were some youth that came in there expecting to be able to play, and then we actually had a couple of kids come in that were absolutely great. Nikki Jones's daughter was out there, and she belted it out. She got on stage and belted one out. We had another guy named Chance come out, or no, it was Chance. Was it Derek? There was a few kids, but anyway.
Yeah.
So they came out, and the one kid was just a phenomenal drummer. I mean, it was great. It was a lot of fun. So it was. I still might try to pick that up if I got more interest in people actually trying to show up for it and stuff. But because it was kind of cool for what we did, and they've already got the everything down there at the Grange. They already have the PA system, so it's like we don't even have to truck a PA system down there. We just have to have people show up with their instruments and play. So,
and I think that's so important for like a venue like that for kids to participate in.
Yeah,
because like it's so. Like so much of the music venues are 21 and over. And so anytime you can have a venue or something along those lines where you can have an all ages show.
Yep.
Like where children can have access to music.
Right.
Because it could be that's their very first entrance to music. And that could be the spark that gets them interested for the rest of their lives.
Yeah, I love what River City Rock Academy has done. It's like bringing kids in and teaching kids how to do all the music and stuff like that. And when I was a kid, it was like the Grand Theater was like the big place that we would all go. And then like when I was in a band, it was the Ike Box, or what was the Ike Box actually, and it was before it was the Ike Box, it was the YMCA Teen Center. And so we helped Rose get that all like going. And then I was kind of frustrated because it was like my band, for all the work that we put into that place, getting it built up and getting it as recognized as it was for people to go play music. And it's like we kind of got pushed out because I don't think they realized how much influence my band had at the time. Because like we were like a big draw, like we were getting a lot of people to go down there and promoting a lot of the shows and helping Rose do that and stuff. And so it was just frustrating to have it kind of like get pushed out. So
that is unfortunate.
So when venues don't realize that, it's like, oh, it's like they had a band who was helping them a lot. It was kind of, it's like they gotta, like venues need to also respect the fact that there's bands that are helping them build a following and things like that. And so it's like, so that's there's been some frustration thing on so that maybe even a little bit with the with South Liberty. That was kind of like one of the bummers. It was like, come on. It was like we were starting to bring people in and it was starting to really take off, and then they kind of just shifted gears on us. It was like, well, that sucks. So
with no warning or anything like that either, or just
so I wasn't really in charge of running the jam. I helped like with the promotion, like I would do the posters and things for Danielle and Susan and stuff like that. So I was doing a lot of the kind of like back end work. I ran sound a couple times.
Okay.
And then Stymie was the one doing a lot of the sound for the jams and stuff because he was more available. I also do scouts, and so part of when we were doing the MSG thing, like full sale or like full like scope or whatever it was, I was never around because I'm doing scouts with my son. So I was like, I'm busy and I'm off doing other things. And so it was nice to have other people help kind of keep things going and things like that, and keep the show going, so to speak.
Yeah.
So it's like you can't do it all yourself sometimes.
And one of the things that I'm realizing too is as I've gone to jams and continue to sort of go to jam sessions, just how vital that is for the start of music.
Yeah,
Finding bandmates, finding people with mutual interests, finding other musicians, and it's sort of like access to a community that you may not otherwise have access to.
Yeah, I mean, well, yeah, you can learn a lot. I was teaching people all about sound stuff and sound gear, and there was like I would have conversations with James from the Raven Kings, the drummer.
Yeah.
So I was always having conversations with him. We would nerd out about sound gear. So, but yeah, so it was. But yeah, lots of connections are made at that kind of stuff, and well, part of the reason why they had the meetup and stuff was so that we didn't have to, so we could actually talk like this and be able to get to know each other without the music blaring in our ears, and so you couldn't actually talk. So you're having to yell at everybody, trying to be like, what?
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, because like that's a fair point. Because like every time I've been invited to like a musician hang, there's always this unspoken rule that inevitably you're all going to get up on stage and play music together.
At some point, yeah. I got up there a few times
but I mean, like, even outside of a jam session, right? And so, like, I've been invited a few times where I have to pinch myself, or like somebody invited me to a party of just musicians, and so we show up. It's like hooray, and we're just sort of talking, but then inevitably, the urge is to get up and play.
Yeah,
and I guess the reason it's interesting in my mind is because I don't think I've ever been to a collection of musicians where they just wanted to talk and hang and not play music.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, that's kind of there. A lot of them are introverted, so it's kind of hard for them to like want to talk about their experience and stuff. So there are a lot of introverted musicians.
Interesting.
So.
Yeah, you got my pattern recognition going.
Yeah, yeah. My brain is space. Do you know the band Grimace?
Yeah.
Singer. My brain is spacing.
I can't.
Anyway, she actually pointed that out. She's like, well, you're trying to get people to come out to something that they're all introverts. They don't. So it's like, well, okay. So.
That's a good point. And like almost every single musician I know has this level of humility that kind of goes with the music piece. Like it has been 100% of the time now when I ask guitar players in particular about at what point did you become an amazing guitarist? They all say, I'm not amazing yet.
Yeah, I was gonna say I'm told that I'm actually pretty good, but I'm like, I don't think so. I'm like, I'm pretty sure I know people who are better than I am. So like Jesse DeVille from the Raven Kings, he's way better than I am.
And Jesse has that same response.
Yeah.
Even Brandon Logan has that same response. It's like, I know people better than me. It's such a fascinating like sort of view into the guitarist realm.
So, yeah. I mean, you're only as good as you are as far as like your level of practice. And even there's people that like they don't practice except for like they'll get up there with their band and like when they're doing it, they know enough of how to get up and down the fretboard that they can just knock it out. And it's like well, it's like with me with the sound stuff. It's like there's all that knowledge that's there. It's like I know how to do it, and it's like to try to sit there and explain it to people. Sometimes it's like when I was talking about that LA2A, it was kind of like you were going glassy-eyed.
Yeah,
it's like I could go. I have to watch myself of going super nerdy. So,
but I appreciate it at the same time because like it's that muscle memory that builds in successful recordings.
Yep.
Yeah. And one of the things that I'm curious about, because like it's something I used to experience all the time in live events in particular, is you can get there the day before, set everything up, and then come in the next day, not touch anything, and something is different.
Yeah, that happens. So yeah, it's just, and that even with recording, it's like you can. Well, my cameras were working the other day. That I'm setting up some cameras that are so I can see people between the walls of the live room and the control room that we're in now. And it was working fine the other day. I came down here to turn it on, and like, nope, the one camera doesn't want to work. I'm like, why? Oh,
Yeah.
foiled again. So
Tracks Batman.
yeah, pretty much. Yeah. So
And then, so what's next for you?
I'm trying to get the studio set up. So I've got the Blackbeard studio thing. I probably should have set this here up maybe more close to the camera so people could see it. So I'm trying to get this. I'm getting things set up down here. I just got the rack thing that I need to be able to put put my interface in and things like that, so I can really get going. I'm going to bring a drum set down over the weekend, basically get that all set up so that I'm ready to go, get it all mic'd up and things for the for next week. So my buddies come in from living in exile, Andy, Gabe, Corey.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was so.
And how important is it for like local recording spaces to be available for the community?
Oh, I mean, there's some around. I mean, you got there's Kevin. It's nice to have them, but it's like not everybody can afford to go down and get like a nice professional recording. It's like they want to, but at the same time, it's like with the fact that gear has become so affordable that it's like people are just like, well, I want to go do it at home, or I'll get the gear and I'll do it myself. It's like, well, yeah, but you can get it done faster and by somebody that knows what they're doing and that are experienced. So it's like if you've got 3 years to put out an album, then sure, you go ahead and take 3 years and figure it out and come up with an album that you're not satisfied with because you didn't necessarily know that it's like, if I run this microphone through a certain way, then I'm going to get this great result. And so that's where people like me come in. You got me, Jason Carter down at Wavelength and things like that we know this stuff, and it's like, so and we can get you there a lot quicker without you having to struggle.
Yeah, and it can be a struggle if you try to go out on your own. I can attest to this because like this is like the third iteration of a mixer. This is the fourth version of a microphone, and so it's interesting because there's so many things that you don't really pay attention to or really know when you get started. Like it's just the sheer difference between a podcast microphone and a music microphone. Like I didn't know there was a difference. Turns out there's a difference.
Yeah. You got, well, man, again, I go nerdy on you. It's
Right.
like, these are dynamic microphones, and then you got condensers, and the condensers are a lot more sensitive. So
yeah,
it's just, but yeah, there's definitely a difference between the studio quality versus versus just live or doing a podcast and things like that. And all the mics have their usage. Even these mics right here, this is what Michael Jackson recorded the whole Thriller album on.
how interesting.
I don't know if you knew that or not.
I did not know that.
So yeah, this is the exact same mic, but he had a really nice preamp that it was being fed into that was extremely hot, so it would get that condenser level quality in order to be able to record. So
Interesting. Because like one of the things that fascinated me about these mics in particular is if you pull up, and I'm not going to do it here because it's useless, but if you were to pull up and try to play music through this phone, the microphone doesn't pick it up.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
it should.
It doesn't pick it up at all.
Weird.
It is so weird, and I think it's because of the podcast mixer. And maybe not the microphone.
I'm trying to think of a reason why the microphone wouldn't pick it up, but I don't know that the microphone's at fault. I don't know that thing would have any artificial stuff built into it to filter that out. I mean, that would generally be processing, like digital signal processing, DSP.
It's weird.
I don't know.
It's so wild.
Yeah, that is weird. I wouldn't expect that to not. Other than this is a dynamic mic, but it's picking us up loud and clear. So
yeah,
I think it can pick up
I'll show you after the recording. It'll blow your mind because it doesn't make sense to me either. Yeah. Like, what do you do when those moments happen? Right. So like you have something you encounter and something just seems off. Like how do you research that when that happens?
Oh, that's YouTube University. It's like that's the nice part about there being so much stuff on there on YouTube. It's like there's chances are somebody else has probably dealt with it, and usually the correct thing is going to be to like pipe it into your mixer board through a Bluetooth or whatever. That way, when you play it, it's just going to go through that. So it's going to mix in with everything else, and you're not relying on the microphone. So, because then you don't want the microphone to pick it up. You just want it to play and people to hear it, and you can hear it too. So,
Yeah. And so, in terms of like the next phase, though, in like the community in Salem, are you getting the sense that I'm sort of getting that music is starting to sort of pick up again?
it is starting to pick up. It was picking up before COVID, and then COVID kind of like killed the scene quite a bit, and then it's starting to come back. And it's not definitely. It's definitely not like when I was listening to music down at the Grand Theater. It was like music was just crazy back then. I mean, it was like everybody like Nirvana was big, so like everybody was like, "Oh, I want to start a band," and so there was like bands galore all over the place. Everybody wanted to start a band, and everybody wanted to achieve being a rock star because it's like once he did it, it was like, "Oh, the doors are open." Like now anybody can do it, type thing. It kind of it was this weird time, but it was cool at the same time. It was kind of it was nice to live through that period in time. So now
Yeah.
I'm making myself feel old, but thinking about it, but.
No, but I kind of agree, because like I was into a lot of music when I lived in Seattle, and then I took sort of a hiatus from music when I moved to Oregon because I moved to Roseburg.
Oh,
And in Roseburg, there's nothing
yeah.
in terms of music venues. It's just a very small community.
Yeah,
Go ahead, sorry.
I was gonna say my friends and I used to like sneak up to Corvallis, or not Corvallis, to the Seattle all the time. Like we would go. This was back in like '95, when that was the height of the rave season or scene and everything like that. So we were always like sneaking off, going to Portland. We'd like tell our parents, "Oh, we're going camping."
I love that.
So yeah, we were always like sneaking off to Seattle and stuff back in like '95, '96 and stuff like that, and just going and goofing off. So like, it's like once we got our license, it's like we had like, I mean, we weren't supposed to be driving that far, but we were. So we didn't care. We didn't know. And back then, it was a little bit different time back then. So it's like back then you could get away with doing stuff like that. Nobody really questioned it or did anything about it. So as long as you were safe.
And then I got back to Salem after COVID, and I started going to like first few shows locally, and it was interesting because there was only like 5 or 6 or 7 people in the audience, and now when I go, I'm seeing 40 or 50, and so it's like, okay, I think it's starting to sort of come back.
It is, yeah. There was actually a pretty good crowd when I was doing that St. Jack's, that Triangle show for St. Jack's and Moonlit Madness. That was it was quite a few people that showed up. There was at least 50 people, but yeah, I would say before COVID. I mean, even before COVID, it was probably about 50 people.
Yeah.
So it was it. It really depends on the band and the venue and things like that, and whether or not people want to go listen to that stuff. So it always seems like the younger crowd, they'll get off work, and then like 10:30, it's like that's when all the younger kids go hit up the bars. So,
but it seems to me like most of the music starts at like 8 or 9 now.
Yeah,
it used to start a lot later and end later, but it seems like a lot of the bands now are starting earlier and ending earlier. And I don't know if that's a holdover from COVID or.
I think that's more of the venues. I think it's like they don't want to have the music. They don't have the loud music going too late because it like I don't know if it does tend to sometimes if the band's not if people aren't feeling the band, they'll just leave and they'll go to someplace else where it's quieter and they can do their own thing and be able to talk and stuff like that. So some of that I think is the venues like realizing that the pattern that they don't want to necessarily have people getting their ears blown out, till midnight or whatever. But sometimes it really depends on what the band is and whether or not the band draws a crowd. So it's like you get a band like JFK and they're going to draw a crowd for until midnight, 2 a.m. So they'll just keep the party going as long as you want it to go.
And why is it important, do you think, for people to support local music right now?
Oh, because I mean, it's why not? It's like, I mean, it's like everybody loves music. I mean, so that's kind of one of the things that it's like it. Well, I was going to say, I noticed that kind of after COVID, that was like the music was kind of one of the things that kind of drew people together and stuff like that. Because I remember like that was like one of the first big concerts coming back after COVID was Foo Fighters playing back in New York, and everybody wanting to get back to New York to watch the Foo Fighters play and stuff like that. And so it was kind of, I mean, that's a bigger band, but as far as like the local bands and stuff goes, it's like it was a symptom. Everybody was they were stuck at home doing nothing, and all they could do was, watch stuff on TV and things like that. So, I mean, it wasn't all they could do. They could, not listen to the recommendations and go out and do stuff. But it was,
It's a different time.
it was, yeah,
Yeah.
it was a very strange time. It was like, so, because I was doing the Valor Studio thing, and it was like, man, the music scene's like really picking up, and it seemed like it was starting to kind of boom again, and then the COVID hit and it just kind of killed everything. So I think getting people out, just for the sense of connectedness. I mean, it's like, so, well, that was actually one of the things that, why I helped start the MSG thing, and why, because as I was doing the Valor Studio thing, it was this camaraderie of being in the studio, and I'd forgotten how much I missed that from back when I was doing the other studio, for the Scab Records, and what we call the Cherry House Studio and things like that. So, it was like that camaraderie of like all these musicians and people and things like that. And it was just it's nice to have friends. I mean, it's good to have people and be able to share experiences and go and have a really cool show. When I was going to say, one of my coolest experiences was was actually at the Salem Bite, and it was our last show as a band. So last Lytic show, and we were. I'll never forget this, because my friend Johnny, like, I knew that he knew this. He was in Radical A. He was the bass player in Radical A, and so he was. I was on stage and I was sitting there playing. I knew he knew the song well enough that I could like let him do this, and so I was sitting there playing the strumming the part, and I let him. I took the bass down, I put it down, and I let him finger the rest of the notes, like in the middle of the show. So like we were playing, and I was doing this, and he was playing the notes, and the entire crowd erupted. I was like not expecting that at all. It was just like this huge roar. They're like, "Yeah!" I was like, "Whoa!" It was not a reaction I was expecting, but it was the coolest experience ever to like kind of get that. Um, just that connection to the crowd. It was like, it was so cool. I remember that feeling. It's like I just brought it back just thinking about it. It like kind of comes back. It's like this like weird tingly feeling up your back. So you're just like this just absolute eruption of a crowd. It's addicting.
Yeah, and I've talked about this ad nauseum on this podcast, but in a way, it's a miracle on stage every time.
Yeah.
Just this whole idea of 5 people, 4 people getting up on stage, picking up separate instruments on separate wavelengths, and somehow all to come together in unison to formulate music.
Yep. Well, I was going to say, but I think it was when I was a kid. We had the kid concerts like for school. It was like that was actually the first when I think I was mentioning before we got started on the video, that I had my first experience that kind of hooked me.
Yeah.
Was another one of those like ones where the entire crowd erupts. Well, I got to play Paul McCartney and the Beatles and it was just with a cutout. I wasn't even playing guitar. I just had a cutout of a guitar. It was like a wood panel like painted to look like a guitar. And I hop on stage with a wig. And like, I hopped out early actually, and like it was, I hopped out on the right part of the song, but I was like I was just a little bit early, but as soon as I popped out and everybody realized I was Paul McCartney, it was just like this another huge eruption. And it was like, whoa, I was like, so that was like one of those adrenaline addicting type things. And you're just like, wow, that was super cool. It's like, I want to do that again. So, and the next time it happened was at that show at the Bite. And that was like the next time that I really had like a huge crowd reaction. And so it's kind of cool.
Are you going to get back into the music side of things, or are you just going to stick with the recording side of things?
For now, I think I'm probably going to stick with the recording side of things. It was like I have enough time to try to do this, but I don't have enough time to try to be a part of it. But being in a band is a lot of dedication.
It's a lot of work.
It is, and you really have to have. You only have so much time in the day. It's like you can't you can't do everything, unfortunately. So it's like between Scouts and me trying to do this and my normal job working for Chemeketa, it's like it's just too much. And so it's like I actually tried to be in a band with I don't know if you know who Mike Beestrom is.
No.
So okay, so they got he has a little band for Rock's Edge. So I don't know. So they kind of do that, and then that they were trying to get me to play with them. They thought I was good enough. They're like, "Oh, you're way better than you think," and I was like, "Okay." So I was just playing bass with them for a little while, but it was like I just don't have the time to like keep going. It was like it's just So it's not that I didn't want to. It's like I would love to get back into playing music again, playing with a band, but it's like
But you need 4 hours a week.
yeah,
At least.
or more.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's like well, it's just 4 hours a week practicing as a band.
Yeah.
Not to mention, practice your parts on your own,
And not to mention the live shows and the gigs and everything else,
and then all the gear and things like that. Yeah, it's a lot, and it's like I remember how much work it was, and it's like I remember hating to lug my bass amp upstairs. I was like, I put wheels on it thinking I was being smart, and it's like that doesn't help on the stairs. It's actually more of a pain in the butt when you get downstairs. So
I know what you mean. Like I'm moving to a place next month where it doesn't have stairs for that reason.
Yeah,
I'm tired.
Yeah,
I'm tired of stairs.
Yeah, stairs are no fun when you're having to move stuff.
You're not lying. Well, we've been at this for almost an hour now.
All right,
and
so I could keep going. But
Oh, I appreciate it. I just want to make people to kind of understand like how they can get in touch with you if they need a recording space.
So actually, well, here I can hold up. I don't know if they can see this or not. Maybe if I hold it up close enough to the camera.
Yep.
Is that good enough? So
it should be.
Got a QR code there, so they can scan that. They can book time with me. So that's the easiest way is just go straight to the booking. Working on getting a website. I make websites for a living, and I still. Oh, I'm working on it. It's a work in progress, but it's like a time thing. It's like I've been down here trying to get everything set up down here, so it's no time to try to set up a website. So,
and it's kind of hard these days. You know, let me take that back. It's hard to carve out additional time these days.
Yep.
Time is such a commodity. And so, like, would I love the ability to spend 2 hours a day on my social media to sort of post as I don't have time for that.
Yeah.
I would love it. I don't have time for that.
Yeah.
And so it's like all of these things that I would love to have, but there's no time.
That's going to get turned into a meme now.
Yeah.
I haven't got time for that. Nobody got time for that.
Yeah. To make that go viral, folks.
Yeah, there you go. Viral moment from Sean Phillip.
I ain't got time for that. Oh, I sound like an old curmudgeon person.
Yeah. I'm sure you remember the lady I'm talking about.
Yeah.
It's like, what was that during Katrina? Or I'm forgetting, they were like videoing her or whatever. I ain't got time for that. So I'm a huge wealth of pop culture knowledge too.
I appreciate that. Yeah, I was always like movie quotes growing up.
Oh yeah,
just all kinds of like. But then I transitioned from movies to music, and I'm much better off. I think.
Yeah, yeah. I just like the little thing popped up. I don't know if you saw the documentary for John Candy that I Like Me.
Yeah,
if you watched that,
I haven't watched it yet. It's
it's great. I was like, oh man, I forgot how many quotes that I quote from John Candy. Oh man, so there's a lot of good quotes. So.
He was so relatable.
Yeah.
And just like exuded funny like very few people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was sad when he passed away. So it was like him and Robin Williams. It was like losing some of those great comedians who are just freaking awesome.
Even
it's not awesome, but
even now,
yeah,
like, just like we lost James Earl Jones, like Ace Frehley, like what's going on?
Yeah. Taylor Hawkins, speaking of musicians and stuff like that. It's like that was yeah. No, you didn't know Taylor Hawkins passed?
No.
Oh yeah, he was. Yeah, that was quite a few years ago now. But
man, time catches up to us all. I guess at some point.
Yep.
Yeah.
So yeah. So yeah. Not to end it on a bummer, but
well, let's end it on some good ones. So what are your 3 favorite local Salem bands right now?
Probably the Raven Kings, Long Time Gone, and then Moonlit Madness. And well, I'll have to toss in 4 because St. Jack's Parade. So Paul and Regina are pretty awesome.
I love that. So if you have a chance to check out any of those, I'll throw in the Nicky Jones band.
Yeah, Nicky Jones is awesome too.
If you have a chance to check any of them out, please do so. And I can't forget Johnny.
Yeah. Oh, Johnny. Oh, yeah. Dude, he's awesome. Yeah, I was trying to get him on. I was actually trying to get him to record on something for somebody. I was like, oh man, I was like, your harmonica would be great on this.
He's such an amazing human being.
Yeah, there's Nicky. Anything with Jared Venti in it.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. That's fair.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I just watched the whatever the thing was down at the Grand Theater with It was like I don't know. I wasn't sure if it was supposed to be a tribute to Mark Green.
Yeah,
Dang it, I'm going back to people who passed away.
that's okay. But I think you might be right, though. I think that was.
I think it was kind of a tribute to him.
Yeah.
What was that, Ronan?
Yeah.
He's the one who kind of put that together and stuff.
Yeah.
So,
Well, you say that though too, but like when I saw Randy Hansen come through town, and
I'm not sure if I know who that.
oh my goodness, he is a Jimi Hendrix tribute artist.
Oh, okay.
Holy cow!
Yeah.
73 now? I'm probably 73 years old.
Oh,
getting up on stage and doing things on stage I haven't been able to do as a 40-year-old in 20 years. And it's like amazing energy, amazing show, and an amazing talent.
yeah. That already came through.
Yeah, he comes through about once a year, so hopefully he comes back through again.
All right.
Yeah, he's on my bucket list for interviews.
All right, I'll have to try to check that out next time. So,
well, Paul, thank you so much.
Yep.
I'll end the show the way we always end the show, folks. Be kind. We all live in the same planet, and we share the space together. And this world would just be a better place if we just treated everybody with kindness and respect. Thank you. Paul, have a good one.
Thank you.
Yeah, you got it.